First thing I want to say is I'm really impressed. This is the largest crowd, the most amount of people. I think we have over 200 people here that I've ever had for a presentation. So thank you so much. And I want to respond to a question about a tsunami in Puget Sound from a shallow fault earthquake, the Seattle fault. So we could have a 25-foot wave that could hit Seattle downtown within about 90 seconds or less, ripping through the Puget Sound. So just think about that. Not much warning there. All right. Does anybody recognize this picture right here? What event this was? Japan, right. Tohoku earthquake, 2011. Okay, so I wanted to show this because right here is a wall, right? So they spent billions of dollars to be prepared. And they built some walls to keep out the tsunamis. And they thought that they were safe. They thought that they were prepared. But they underestimated the size of the earthquake that could rupture in the subduction zone next to Japan. So they thought it was about 8.5 would be the highest. And it was actually a 9.0. So unfortunately, a lot of people died because they felt safe and they felt that they were prepared enough and they ignored some of the warning signs and they didn't get to high ground. So hopefully the message there is, you know, we're learning every day more and more about the risk. We're understanding the science better and better every day, but there's always more to understand. There's always more that we need to learn. So when we tell you, hey, it could rupture, it could be a 9.0, it could be a 9.2, you know, you need to get to high ground, well, maybe you should just keep going, right? Evaluate the situation, because we cannot perfectly, accurately forecast each event, each scenario, wherever you live, wherever you are. So there can be things that can happen, and you're just going to have to keep your eyes open and make sure that you don't feel super safe where you just turn your brain off. You need to make sure that you take care of yourself and keep going to high ground. Okay, so I have some questions. How will I know a tsunami is coming? What is the most obvious sign? Earthquake, thank you, yes. So if you're feeling an earthquake and it's longer than 40 seconds, right? So chances are a tsunami is coming. So you need to get to high ground right away. All right. Do you know your evacuation routes? How many people in here know your evacuation routes? If you're in any inundation areas, you work there? Okay, a few. All right, maybe we can have a little bit of improvement. All right. I'm sorry, yeah, working on that. Thank you. All right. So how many people in here have a family emergency plan? Okay, a few. All right. Okay, we can work on that a little bit. All right. All right. Do those of you that have, or think you're prepared, or have family emergency plans, you've got go bag or preparedness kits? All right, maybe a few more. Okay, that's good. That's good. Promising. Okay. So, do you know how you will communicate or reunite with your family? Say your children, your grandchildren. Okay. Few. All right. That's a very difficult process. It's, you know, reuniting is a big thing. So something to really consider. You know, the school plans, emergency plans. You know, thinking about how you would reconnect with your kids or grandkids. So, who here is? How many people are involved in, say, Map Your Neighborhood, CERT, local? Oh, a lot of people. All right. This is great. Good. Okay. All right. So we're gonna play a video. Apparently with no sound.
She and her family were on holiday in Phuket.
Yeah, this is Sumatra. This is 2004. And this video is, well, hopefully we can get the sound working. Having some technical difficulties. Okay, so what you're going to watch here is the story of a 10-year-old girl who went on vacation with her family into Thailand. And she was with her family, and a tsunami was coming in 2004. And she was taught by her geology teacher the signs to be able to tell when a tsunami was coming. And they were on the beach. And she recognized that. She's 10 years old, had just 2 weeks before, geology teacher had come in and taught at her school. And so she told her parents, and she said, a tsunami's coming. I see the signs. And her parents, didn't really believe her. Her dad kind of did, but her younger sister freaked out and ran to the pool where they were staying at the hotel. And then her father went to go find out, if her sister was okay, right? And then she said, this is definitely a tsunami. This is Tilly Smith. And she said that, and she's from England, right? They don't really have tsunami threats or problems in England very often, right? So she said, hey, I'm going. There's going to be a tsunami. And her mom didn't really believe her, but then her mom got kind of worried about her, so her mom went to go find her at the hotel. And as soon as her mom got there, the waves started coming up over the beach. And then Tilly's father went and told the security guards. And they went and told everyone else on the beach. And so she saved up to 100 lives, everyone that was on that beach. Yeah, because she had listened to her geology teacher who had taught her, and she had looked at the signs, and then she had done something. She acted, and then she told her parents. And one of the good things is her parents listened to her. So maybe next time, kids are getting taught things, we should listen to them, and it might save our lives. And so this is a powerful story, and I wish I could have played this video, but if you can find it online, it's on YouTube. And so, unfortunately, but yeah, that's okay. And it's one of those things where, with the Great Washington Shakeout, we focus on students. We get over 700,000 students and staff in the state of Washington register and participate in the Great Washington Shakeout in October. And that for them to drop, cover, and hold on, and to practice that, and for them to understand what the earthquake risks and the tsunami risks are, it's extremely powerful because that stays with them. And hopefully then they bring that back to their parents and to other family members and other people, and they remember that. And so we try to focus on the younger generations. So I have a question. Who here has experienced an earthquake? Okay. So let's be honest here. As soon as you felt the shaking, was the first thing that came to your head, this is an earthquake, I need to drop cover and hold on and protect myself? Is that the first thing? No? Okay, yeah, me neither. So I felt the 2001 Nisqually earthquake, and unfortunately, when I was in school, they didn't teach me drop, cover, and hold on. They didn't teach me really what to do with an earthquake, and luckily, it wasn't that strong of an earthquake where I was, right? And so I wasn't in much danger. But I didn't really know what to do, okay? So the point is that most injuries happen from things falling on you or you falling over and injuring yourself. So you have to practice, because the quicker you recognize that an earthquake is happening, it doesn't happen very often, and you just muscle memory, you know what to do to protect yourself, then the safer you're going to be. And the reason why I mention that too, let me see here, but let me finish this. The reason why I mention that is because you don't want to injure yourself so you can actually evacuate. All right, so we've got this, feeling the ground shaking. Sometimes the sea will recede rapidly, not always. So if it's a distant tsunami and you don't feel the shaking, this could be a warning sign for you. Or a wall of water coming and a loud roar like a train or jet. So if that's happening, probably should pay attention to that and get away from the beach and get to high ground. All right, so let me get back to my point here. In order to evacuate, you must first survive the earthquake. And hopefully don't twist your ankle, don't knock yourself out, right? So that if you're in the inundation zone, you can actually get to high ground and you will survive, okay? So again, practicing. So please register and participate, Great Washington Shakeout. All right, and when we say drop, cover, and hold on, this is a school. These are massive concrete floors. The only thing keeping these up are school desks. Wow. So when we say drop, cover, and hold on and protect yourself, and we say it could save your life, we mean it. All right, so once you have drop, cover, and hold on, you protected yourself, you're fine, you're ready to go, you're in the inundation zone, immediately get to high ground. And like the gentleman back here, and I couldn't see who it was, pointed out, thank you very much, the tsunami comes in multiple waves. It could be 12 hours, 24 hours, it could be longer than that. And the first wave is not always the highest. So a lot of times, unfortunately, we've seen people one wave would come in, it's not very high, they think, oh, the threat's not that bad, and they don't really evacuate, and then they get hit with the next wave because it happens to be much higher. Okay, so this map here should look a little familiar. I know it's kind of hard to see kind of in the back. So we got the Port Townsend area. So this is an evacuation map for the community. And we've got a legend here. I'm sorry, it's really hard to see, but we've got the inundation areas along here. You've got your assembly areas and some red evacuation routes. So I have a question. Does anyone here not understand the difference between an assembly area and your evacuation area? Okay, so a lot of times people get confused, right? So an assembly area is not where you evacuate to, right? An assembly area is after the waters have receded, your local emergency managers have said given you all clear, everything's good, you can go back. You meet at the assembly areas. Now here, luckily, you have some assembly areas that are really on high ground. That's not always the case in all the communities along the coast. So you're kind of lucky here where you've got a lot of these. Now you can actually move to these, after you evacuate, right? But the whole point of assembly areas is for you to congregate so that we can deliver supplies whenever we get to you, that if we need to evacuate you, you need to check in with each other, you can help each other. This is where you need to meet, so that you're not scattered all over the place, right? So that's the difference. So it confused me at first until I understood that. So learn your tsunami zones. Where are your inundation areas? Know your evacuation routes. And I'm talking about multiple evacuation routes. So if you work in the inundation area, if you live there, if you shop there, if you have, hopefully there's no schools in there, knowing where you can get to high ground, wherever you're at, is really important. And then, of course, practicing. So how many people have practiced an evacuation route? Okay, a couple. All right, well, a few back here. Okay, so maybe a little improvement on that. So an excellent opportunity is for Great Washington Shakeout, doing some evacuation drills, and we can definitely help support you. All right, so assisting others, considering options. All right, so a big thing here is don't forget your emergency kit. So if you live in the inundation zone, you work there, make sure that you have a kit, a little go bag that has a little bit of water, it has warm clothing, has a flashlight, has some medication. I'll go over a little bit of list there, but make sure that you have a bag to take with you. And oftentimes I like to put one in, I have a bag in my car, and usually your car is with you, right? So that's a pretty good place to put one. So we had maybe some questions about if you have a boat, what to do. Okay, so luckily you have, with a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, you've got an hour, maybe an hour and a half, right? So that could give you some time if you've got a boat to get out into deep water. So here in Washington, we recommend that you get out for a Cascadia event, we recommend that you get out to about 100 fathoms. So that's about 600 feet. So there are places in Puget Sound and in the Strait of Juan de Fuca that you can get there. So you just need to know that. Now, if it's a distant tsunami, say from Alaska or Japan or South Chile, then we recommend about 30 fathoms, 180 feet. All right. So one of the things I like to tell people is we had a Cascadia subduction zone exercise called Cascadia Rising, June last year. Some of you may have heard of it. So over 20,000 people participated in multiple states. It's a large exercise. And one of the things that we learned out of that is that it's going to take a long time for us to get out to the coast. There's going to be, because of landslides, because of bridge failures, all over the place. It's going to be really hard, and it's going to take a long time for first responders to get out and help people. So we now recommend at least 2 weeks. You prepare for at least 2 weeks. So 1 gallon of water per person, food, and I'll go over that a little bit. But the reason why is because we're going to be slow, right? So and one of those things too is I'm so glad, I'm so happy that most of you here participate in community preparedness, because you're going to have to depend on each other. And that's fantastic to see that. Well, I guess I can't play this video either. All right. Okay, so some action items. Make a plan, right? So I think some of you need to work on that. So practicing your evacuation routes. And also one of the things here is an out-of-state or an out-of-country contact. Does anybody know why you need one? Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So even if there isn't a significant event, oftentimes the phones are already jammed locally, right? So we're not even talking about a major earthquake, just something happens. So you're more likely to be able to call out to somebody out of state or out of country than you are locally, and also be able to text. But one of the things is people don't think about, you need to let that person know that they're the contact, right? Don't just spring that on them, all right? Okay? Warn them first, right? So they know what to do. And the reason why this is important is because depending on where you are in a major event, it may take you hours to be able to call out, or it may be days. You may then have to find, somebody, you get out of the zone where the power's out and the cell phones are out. So the important thing is you want to know, is your family okay? The people you care about, the people you love, and be able to tell people where you are. So if you have this out-of-area contact person, they become this relayer and capturing messages between you and your family and the people you care about. And so they can say, hey, you called up. Let's say you were lucky. You were able to call in maybe 3 hours after the event, right? You say, hey, I'm here, I'm okay. Has anybody else called in? And then maybe it takes, more hours, or maybe the next day, and other people call in. And then you can, at least be able to find out what's going on. So that's extremely important. Also, when you're building kits, you need to think about pets too. A lot of people don't think about their pets. And does anybody here have pets? No? Few? Just a few? Okay. All right. And, we love our pets, right? So do some research and make sure that you think about them when in an emergency situation. All right. And one of the big things too here is alerts and warnings. So just a lot of things that Ted talked about. Making sure that you are connected. You have your NOAA weather radios. They're programmed correctly. Making sure that you have your alerts from your local emergency managers, in your systems here in the community, so that because you want to know what's going on. Because the more that you're informed, the better off you're going to be. Also, of course, you guys are rock stars for Map Your Neighborhood and CERT and all that, great, so I won't have to cover that. Thank you. All right, so preparedness kits. So I think we all have a pretty good understanding, hopefully, of what goes in these preparedness kits. There's a couple of things I want to highlight. First of all, don't forget your can opener, because that's going to be a real bummer if you've got a bunch of canned food. Yeah, no can opener, okay? All right. Also, 14 days, right? 1 gallon of water per person per day. You're thinking, wow, that's a lot of water, okay? How am I going to lug that up when I'm evacuating? Well, that's not going to work. So we recommend that you have a water filtration system. So like when you go camping, you have a water filter, or you have those like Catadin pills or whatnot that filter the water for you. It takes about 4 hours. So put some of those in your bag. Also, warm clothing. Make sure you've got warm clothing. And think about people who have access and functional needs, people who need maybe special equipment, if you have somebody in your family or your neighbor that you know. And also medication. Medication is extremely important. It's a difficult one. And glasses, extra pair of glasses you want to be able to see, and important documents. So we talked about Hurricane Katrina a little bit, right? A lot of people moved away. They just left, they evacuated, never came back. Here's a problem. A lot of those people didn't bring any documentation with them. They just ran out. Maybe they had their wallet, if they're lucky, right? They didn't bring their resumes. They didn't bring any certifications, any insurance documents. So they had a really hard time applying for a job, trying to lease an apartment, trying to get their insurance from the insurance company. So make sure that you have important documents and pictures you don't want to lose. Make sure that you have those on a USB stick that's password protected in your go bag, right? So that you have that with you. You don't lose that. Or you can store it online as well if you want to. One thing, too, that a lot of people don't think about is comfort. So in a major earthquake or a major disaster, people are stressed out. You're going to be stressed out. Okay? It's going to be very uncomfortable. right? So do yourself a favor. Put things that you like to eat in your emergency kits. Put chocolate in your backpack. Whatever you like, right? Come on, reward yourself a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of comfort in this really stressful time. Okay, and also you can share that with other people. Brighten somebody's day. Put a smile on their face, right? And it's a trick because if you put things in your kits that you like to eat, then you're not just going to forget about it. When you change your clocks, okay, forward or backwards every 6 months, then you're going to want to eat that food. You're like, oh, I got that chocolate bar. All right, I'm waiting. I'm good. I'm going to go cycle it out because you need to cycle out your food, right? And so do yourself a favor. Put stuff that you like so that you're in a stressful situation. You don't, oh, I put that can of beans in there, didn't I? Well, yeah, it's not going to look so tasty, right? Okay, something else that's really important. The number one injury from a nighttime earthquake that people find in emergency rooms or hospitals is cut feet. Do we all know why? Glass breaks, it's nighttime, and you're not thinking, and you're running around with your bare feet, right? So, I highly recommend that you have next to your bed shoes, a flashlight so you can find your shoes or your glasses, right? And a coat, something to protect yourself so you can stay warm, right? So these essential things, have them next to your bed, because here's the thing. If you need to evacuate and you have cut feet, boy, that's going to be very unpleasant, right? And also, it's a stressful situation, and you don't want to hurt yourself. So do yourself a favor, put these things next to your bed. Something really important, you can survive a tsunami. Even in the worst case scenarios that we've seen throughout history, on average, 95% of people survive tsunamis. Because, 95, yes. What do you think the reason for that is? Yes. So the people that are most likely to survive are the ones that are prepared. They know what the risks are. They know what to do. They've taken the time to prepare themselves. They're the ones that survive. And I'll give you an example. This is a story. It's a very sad story. Tohoku earthquake in Japan. There were 2 schools in the tsunami inundation zone. One school practiced their evacuation drills every few months. One school did not. The school that did not, they felt that they were protected. They knew what to do. They went right to that first evacuation area, and they stayed there. Even when conditions changed, they stayed there. And almost all of those school children died. The second school that did regular drills, they moved back and up to higher ground 3 times because the waves kept getting higher and higher and higher. And because they had practiced, and because they knew what to do, and their teachers had told them to keep moving if they see the water coming up, most of those kids, if not all of them, survived. 2 schools, same country, same event. It's the power of education. So, be prepared to be on your own for a while. Know your evacuation routes. Know your risk. Know when the shaking happens. Know what to do. And don't count on driving if it's a local event, because trees fall, telephone poles fall down, and you're most likely not going to be able to drive. The main thing is you can survive tsunamis. So again, I want to thank every one of you. I really, really appreciate you coming out, to wanting to get informed, spending your Friday evening with us. I really appreciate that. It is amazing. It makes us feel really good. We love to come out here and educate people, and we all want you to be safe. So thank you very much.